Okay, I am here. Welcome to Horrible Movie Matinee Monday. I'm kind of scared because, as we all know, for some reason, I am here. Oh boy! Oh boy! Welcome to- There we go. I had to mute myself. Thank God. Ugh, I hate my voice, but kind of worried because usually there's a fuck up that happens on Mondays, as we all know from what 3 weeks now. I think it's been 3 weeks, 3 weeks. Been a while. Also, I am shocked, Sten, that you have never seen the 1982 version of Conan the Barbarian. That's a fucking gem right there. So let me grab a drink. I'll grab a drink. I'm not going to crack open the snacks just yet while watching it, but I will be doing a little, probably like a 10, 15, maybe 20-minute thing where I explain how I discovered Conan and the effect it had on me. So give me 1 second. Also, if anybody is listening or anything like that, I would advise you to grab something also while you enjoy. So be right back. Indeed, it is time for a soda. Oh boy. All right. So, some things are in order. First off, I gotta turn my phone on to silent. That way, nothing happens. Okay. So, how did I come across Conan the Barbarian? So, I must have seen Conan the Barbarian for the first time when I was, oh fuck, probably, I think 8 or 9. And how I came across it was, funnily enough, it was either AMC or the Sci-Fi Channel. Back when the Sci-Fi Channel actually was the Sci-Fi Channel, where they would play fantasy movie, like classic fantasy movies or classic sci-fi. I remember watching Twilight Zone on there, X-Files, big X-Files fan. I remember watching it every time I saw it. Oh, fuck. What was the name of the fucking TV series that was campy as shit? It was a Johnny Depp remake. God. I forget the name of the. Let me check it just in case. Sorry, going on a tangent. Oh, Dark Shadows. That's it. Dark Shadows. I remember watching the original Dark Shadows TV show on there. I remember that for the longest fucking time. So there was that. But yeah, I guess one day I must have been sick, because usually that's when all this whenever I was sick, I would watch Sci-Fi or AMC or Cartoon Network. Those were the only three things I watch because all three of them had a lot of good things I liked. Sometimes if there wasn't anything on there, like if it was on a Sunday and they were playing stupid shit, then I'd just skip over to History Channel and watch some fucking Modern Marvels or a history course. And that's it. But I guess one day I was sick where there was just a day off from school and I didn't have to go to school that day. I remember just laying in bed, flipping through the channels. I went to AMC, and sure enough, I got to watch I started watching Conan the Barbarian, but I did not start seeing it at the beginning. I started watching it right around the time Conan is at the Wheel of Pain. That's when I started watching it. So there was a fair ways away. Or it was probably like 20 maybe, 20, 30 minutes into the movie at that point. So I kind of missed a vast chunk of the plot. So when Thulsa Doom's introduced and his followers are shown, like Conan hating him, I didn't know why. So kind of missed out on those big plot points. Also, I missed probably one of the greatest openings to a fantasy movie. Like, there's a lot of great shit that happens at the beginning of that movie, and I missed out on it, and it's a goddamn shame. It's a goddamn shame. So I watched it, and it just, I don't know, it just captivated me. Like, this is little Darth, like 8, 9 years old. I wouldn't be playing Dungeons and Dragons until I was like 10 or 9 with my uncle. So it was like a year or two before I actually started playing. And so, it just fantasy. Like that was probably one of the things that helped launch me into the whole fantasy genre. I was like in 3rd or 4th grade, and it's a fairly adult movie. There's some nudity, a lot of violence, some great violence too. If I remember correctly, they did edit out most of the nudity. They didn't edit out the side boob though, so the perverted, childlike adolescent in me kind of enjoyed that. But it was more the visceral fighting and like the weird magic and just the setting. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. Years later, I watched the sequel, Conan the Destroyer. I thought it was going to be as good as the first. No, sorely mistaken. I think you're non-sugar-coated. It was more sugar-coated than you're non-sugar-coated. Interesting. So, let's see. I'm not sure if Dan is going to be here. Let me check. I'm going to ask just to see if he's alive. Let me. Okay, movie is up. Got it paused and ready. Let me grab my headphones so you guys can't hear the movie. That way I don't get slammed with anything. All right. So close that out. Get everything all set. Okay. And all right. Give me one more second. I'm going to turn the fan off just in case. All right. So now that I've rambled on, yes and no, because I know sometimes Dan will be up at this hour. I know a few people are up at this hour in Europe, but you never know. Hopefully Dan. If Dan is asleep, I hope he's sleeping well. So let me. Okay, and we're off. All right. Wow, this is probably the first time I've actually sat down to watch a movie in weeks. This is pretty spoopy for me. This is just a great movie. Very philosophical. Dino De Laurentiis. Movie actually had a lot riding on it too. The production was very just the production was a nightmare at times. Oliver Stone wanted it to be set in the future with mutants. Goddamn, Mako. Rest in peace, my friend. Indeed. It is a very weird idea. Oliver Stone's kind of like that. He also wanted it to be kind of like a James Bond series. He planned to have Arnold Schwarzenegger be in the first 2-3 movies, and then another young bodybuilder would pick up where he left off. And they would just continue doing stories based off of the Howard stories. And so that was the plan. But he had also written that the first script or the first draft of this movie was set in the future with Conan fighting mutants and all kinds of shit. And I forget the director's name. It's already probably come up in the credits, but he just completely was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it based off the books. And he sat down and read the books and just immersed himself in the Hyborian mythology. No. I can't show the movie. Can't show the movie because, YouTube will just slam me down. So this is just going to be a commentary. If you have it on Netflix or anything, I'd watch it or a stream. Also, the director was incredibly, I wouldn't say intense. He was like he was like an admiral or a general on set. He would walk around with I believe it's a riding crop, and he would march around the set making sure everything fit. Everything looked the same. He wanted everything to be as perfect as he could envision it. John Milius, that's it. John Milius. And I think this was his first time in the director's chair. he had a vision, and I think it's the closest we'll ever get to a Conan adaptation. I mean, yeah, it doesn't follow the book or any of the books, but it's a fairly good Conan story. Fun fact, Conan's father, that's talking right now, he actually, if I remember correctly, tried for the part of Conan. And he didn't get it, but he got to be Conan's father. Also, what was it? Dino De Laurentiis wanted an 80s pop soundtrack, kind of like Lady Hawk, which is another movie we'll probably be watching because that's another great movie I like. But he wanted an 80s pop soundtrack, and Milius was like, no. And one of his friends was Basil Poldoris. And the rest is history. It's one of Poldoris's greatest soundtracks. Yeah, Lady Hawk's a great movie. The only thing wrong with it, though, is Matthew Broderick, isn't it? God, what a great fucking... Snowy woods are just great in any movie. I think more movies need to have a snowy forest in them. That Berserker scout is actually Conan's Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilder friend, and I think trainer for this movie. He actually got the part. So he's only in that one scene for like 10, 15 seconds, but hey. Exactly. It's a landscape you don't really see that often. The age-old trope of bandits attack, kill the village. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Thinking about it now, I can't really remember a lot of movies that start off like with this. I know of stories where bandits or raiders attack and destroy the village, and it becomes a revenge plot. But not a lot of movies that I've watched have this. Like Conan's the one that immediately comes to mind because of just how iconic it is. Such a great soundtrack. I remember listening to soundtrack a lot while playing D&D. Poor Conan's father. An axe to the back, and 2 dogs maul him to death. I've always wondered at some point, why didn't Conan and his mother flee and just watch the sacking continue? If I remember correctly, a lot of the armor was actually real. Very Lord of the Rings, where they spent months making all of the armor, trying to make it as authentic and as of that era as possible. A lot of it's based off of Norse, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, a lot of Mediterranean regions as well. And there he is, James Earl Jones. That's a pretty powerful scene right there. Whew. It's like, I want to say this right now. It's kind of insane that all these children were able to survive marching through a wintry fucking mountain range, and the majority of them living. That's insane. That's some goddamn balls of steel right there. Like six years old, being forced to march from your homeland through the snow for God knows how many miles over a mountain range, and to march through a desert, and you live. Now you have to push a giant mill wheel around. Yep, it is statistically improbable. Indeed. See, now they never explain whether or not the children that were part of Conan's village died or they were sold off into slavery, because Conan is the last one, and a couple decades pass. And it kind of is improbable with the sheer muscle mass he builds, because it takes a lot of food to build up that kind of muscle and maintain it. It's also never explained whether or not this is Thulsa Doom's mill or not, and if it is, does it supply his army or his followers? Conan doesn't know what you mean by sit here, sir. Like, this movie does have a lot of inconsistencies and questions that get raised a lot. Right now, Conan has been bought. So Conan's village was slaughtered, sacked, and razed. He was dragged off, pretty much push a mill wheel around to grind up grain. And after a decade or two, he's been bought into slavery and thrown into a fighting pit, and is expected to fight for his owner in a fight to the death. And he's already gotten his throat bit. You kind of don't buy a slave that has no combat experience or weapon training, for that matter. Pretty much. Yeah, you guys will probably be hearing fireworks from me too. Kicked in the dick for no reason. Yeah, let's educate our bloodthirsty warrior. Creepy as fuck. Let's have like 5, 6 guys watch Conan have sex and breed because that's why they're doing it. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually trained with a 10 or 12 pound broadsword for months before shooting. It is dedication. He also took up martial arts training, uh, I believe rock climbing and acrobatics because he did every single stunt you see in this movie. They did it because he could not get Milius could not get a body double that would match without raising suspicions and kind of telling people, hey, that's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, this scene where Conan is running, the dogs that they used were actually dangerous, and they would honestly attack their own trainer. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually running for his life because he got mauled twice while shooting this scene. Yeah, it raises questions as to why, why would you do that? It was the early '80s. A lot of what we take for granted now was not a thing back then. Yes, the Atlantean sword. If I remember correctly, this scene alone is one of the scenes for that Milius had shot honoring Franzetta, one of the greatest artists of that era. He did a lot of Conan the Barbarian paintings. And I believe they shot this after Arnold Schwarzenegger's back recovered, because when they were shooting the scene with the dogs, he fell because one of them latched onto his ankle and pulled him, and he fell back and hurt his back. And another fun fact, I believe in the original script, there was supposed to be a scene where Conan fought the Atlantean king, but it wasn't in the budget. So they didn't shoot it. Yes. One of the more bizarre scenes from this movie. Yeah, just, walk right into this random chick's hut. Like I said, a lot of questions get raised with Conan's actions and the actions around him. Now, is he having sex with her to pay her for the information, or does she need to use sex to get a vision as to where she has, like, where he has to go? And she turns into a demon. Yay! Into the fire with you. Some pretty good effects right here. I will admit that I do enjoy that effect. And we never hear from her again. So we don't know if she comes back or if she's now stuck in spirit form, what have you. Also, another question is going to be raised now. Hello there, Sukhothai. Also the name of one of Genghis Khan's generals. Oh, Valhalla and Crom. Oh, humbling. You have humbled him, Sabutai. Also, Jerry Lopez, who plays Sabutai, if I remember correctly, this is the first movie he played in. Also, he's neither seen nor mentioned in Destroyer, which is a damn shame. Conan's never seen Civilization? He was brought to the Far East, it was said, by Mako. Look at all those pigs. Well, they traded him out for a really sleazy, like, Rob Schneider thief. Like the cowardly, bumbling one that does really nothing, but he'll claim the credit. But, like, it's kind of weird that Conan's never been to Civilization before. He's gone to the Far East to be trained by war masters. He's fought in arenas. Let me get you high. Oh, Arnold. Conan, puncher of camels. Yeah, I do the same if someone just punched my camel. Some pretty good miniature work in this movie. And that's it. Conan has said all 5 things he says to Valeria. That's the insane thing. Conan's love interest, and he only says 5 fucking words throughout the entire movie. Eh, he's not really. He's not really 1,000 years old. See, now the thing is, if I remember correctly, in the original script, he was supposed to be a serpent species. Oh God, how was it? How did it work? I think he was. I think it's in the book because I've read the novelization as well. Yes, 5 things. You are no god. You are no guard. And then when she's like, neither you he or no, you have no idea what are beyond what horrors lie behind these walls. When he says no, that's the last thing. 5 things. 5 words. Funnily enough, that is actually true, Sten. John Milius wanted Arnold to narrate the movie instead of Mako because it is his story after all. But the studio was like, nah, Arnold can't really pronounce anything because of his thick Austrian accent. That's why Conan hardly talks in this movie. I mean, it kind of works for the character because there's a lot of stories where Conan just does things and doesn't really say a word. Also, the cult of Set is based off of the flagellants, I think. It's the Germanic cult that came around during the plague, the Black Death. They wear the weird white robes and stuff, and they actually flagellate themselves with whips. Also, this animatronic puppet was pretty goddamn expensive to make. Also, I can't help but laugh during this scene because Conan realizes, wait, it's the symbol I've been looking for. And it's our first D&D encounter of the session, folks. We get to fight a giant snake. I will say the animatronic hasn't aged well that much. They try to not show the full body because you can actually see the 90-degree bend where the skin starts to just buckle. So they try to do a lot of close-up shots of just Arnold fighting it. Also, Sabotage's got one hell of a bow when his arrows are able to pin a massive snake to stone. Also, just what a great beheading. That's one of the greatest things about this movie is there's a lot of beautiful gore going on. And here we go. The scene that made me giggle when I was 8 or 9 till now. She drops to her death and breaks her legs. Like she realizes I've been had. I broke my legs for nothing. It's like, yeah, you have. Let's jump off of a like a 30, 40 story building. Oh, we have a budding romance. Ooh, because she tried stealing his gems. They've known each other for less than a day. And he's going to give her the most valuable of the gems, the Eye of Set. Got their own bungalow and everything. Nice little hovel. Yeah, let's throw our weapons on the ground. We're in love. Of course we need to just, we've known each other for a day, tops. We barely worked together during that mission. You just sat there with a candle in your hand after possibly killing a woman, while me and Sabutai killed a giant fucking snake that nearly tried to eat me. We're the ones who stole the gem, and we're the ones that got away before you did. But hey, we're in love because it makes sense. I just don't know. This is probably like the thing that makes me wonder the most. It's like, how do you get this intense romance when there's like no connection? Like, I can understand Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor because that takes place over like a week tops, and there's an intensity to it. But this is just like two people just did a job. They just met, and that was it. Done. 12 hours. Also, they are horrible thieves when everybody knows that you've stole the uh the gem of the gem of set. I do like these guards' helmets. Ma- Max von Sydow. Max von Sydow actually did the movie because his son was a fan. I love Osric. He's such a great character. Also, one of the tapestries in this throne room is of Odin. Funnily enough, that dagger, Arnold Schwarzenegger still has it. Max von Sydow's speech is just amazing. Oh, God, here we go. That's just creepy. Spying on people in the middle of the night, holding each other while they sleep. Conan's not saying a fucking thing to her. He's just looking at her. His mind's on one thing and one thing alone: killing Thulsa Doom. That's one intense fucking revenge complex, but it's a justifiable one. I mean, he watched his father and mother and all the people he knew as a child die, and he was enslaved. He's never really had a good life, so of course he's going to want to try and invent it. Get some justice in this world. Give me 1 second. All right. Well, Conan's going off in search of Thulsa Doom, wearing his trusty armor. You know, that we never really see him wear. That's one of the biggest gripes I have with this movie. Conan doesn't really use armor. Also, hippies. At least we're coming close to the point where we get to meet Mako, who doesn't have a name in this movie. He's just called the Wizard. Kind of a damn shame just to be called the Wizard. It is disappointing. It's why I just say he's Mako. Yes, the actor Mako, aka the voice of Aku. This is the first time I've ever seen Mako in a movie. When I watched Samurai Jack, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the wizard from Conan." Yep, he's the narrator. The mounds. Oh, Mako. Funnily enough, he plays a kind of he's very aloof. I believe Arnold actually fell off of that camel. In fact, John Milius, the director, thought things were going well on set when Arnold had been gravely injured. Arnold got fucked up a lot in this movie. A lot of time spent out of commission. Stitches, time to recover from back injuries, cuts, falls. Also, the quote unquote mountain of power was actually built. What you're seeing, if I remember correctly, is not the miniature. It's actually the structure they built. John Milius wanted it even bigger, but I believe it was budget constraints kind of made it to the point where it's like, no, you can't have it as tall as you want. Basically, the reason why is because it meant that it looked real. It looked like something like he was actually being injured instead of him having to apply makeups that may look fake. That is creepy. Creepy gay priest or cultist wants to check out Conan's body. If that's all he'll ever need, why are you taking it? Also, Conan, why would you attack someone that has that's an upper echelon? Like even any viewer would see like, hey, all the neophytes or the acolytes or the initiates are all just wearing plain white. The leaders of the cult that actually speak wear black robes. The second in commands, I guess, the ones below them are wearing white robes, but they have colored sashes and stuff. Conan attacks him. Why? You don't know how the cult operates, Conan. Just get one of the regular white robes. Or just ditch the sash. Again, horrible thief. Horrible thief. Ay, 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 Conan. You're just you're just bad at this. You are not good at infiltration. And of course he gives them the necklace, that he stole from the temple. You'd think, as King Osric told him, hey, the leader of that temple fucking came here and started bitching at me about what you guys did. Yeah, let me show them, hey, I was one of the people that stole from you. It's also one of the earliest movies I can remember, like earliest is in the era it was made, where there were thousands of extras. I think it was like somewhere between, I think 1,000 to 3,000 extras were hired for the movie. Uh-oh. Conan's been found out. Like, fucking, that was not gonna fucking happen. Lovely. Now we get one of the best James Earl Jones quotes out of this movie. Something this movie likes to do is it likes to make you question whether or not it makes you want to question whether or not James Earl Jones, aka Thulsa Doom, is actually magical. Up there. Thulsa Doom. I can't remember or not if in the commentary. Wow, what an asshole driving by my house. I can't remember or not if it's on the actual commentary track for the movie or the documentary, but I believe that the stunt actor actually got injured doing that. Oh, the Tree of Woe. I remember this scene being one of the most badass scenes I've ever seen in a fantasy movie. Conan has been crucified on a massive dead tree, the middle of the desert. Hardly any vegetation or shade around him. There's vultures waiting for him. Now, in this scene, Conan, as he's being pecked to death, or as a vulture is pecking at a gash on his arm, feasting off of the dead, rotting flesh, Conan bites the neck of it and breaks its neck and kills it with his bare teeth. But what people don't know is it's an actual dead vulture. Arnold Schwarzenegger bit A dead vulture. Yeah. That's dedication right there to the movie. It's still a badass scene because it shows how defiant Conan is. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger is terrifying when he laughs. Oh, hey, Valeria. Why weren't you with Subotai when he came to get Conan off the Tree of Woe? Again, they're horrible thieves. Thulsa Doom knew that she has the Eye of Set. Oh, poor Mako. So when Mako's drawing all these runes, Arnold Schwarzenegger actually fell asleep on this. He actually fell asleep while Mako used a quill on his face. Poor Mako. Getting the short end of the stick. It's not his fault magic works weird. Magic's always been weird in fantasy movies. And now come the demons to take and claim Conan's soul. Pretty good effects for 1982. The demons are pretty spooky looking. Also, she's doing this for a man she hardly knows, by the way, folks. I'm just gonna keep cementing that. Mako's cowering in his hovel. Well, that was pretty quick. The movie's plot is rather convoluted, yes. There's a lot of concepts and a lot of plots cobbled together into this movie. I wonder if Conan's starting to stink up the place. I mean, he is technically dead. It does have plot direction. Conan is just driven by the singular urge to kill Thulsa Doom. It's more the side plots, the love interest, how Conan gets about to becoming who he is. I feel like after Conan dies, technically he dies, and comes back, that's when the plot actually happens. Because them helping Osric save his daughter from Thulsa Doom isn't really a thing until the very end. Conan doesn't even care about his daughter. He cares about, oh, hey, I'm going to kill Thulsa Doom. Subutai and Valeria don't want to save the daughter. They want to just take the gold and the gems Osric gave them and skip town. And the only reason why they stick around is because Conan goes off alone, gets crucified, and dies. And so they're going to follow him. They're going to follow him in and try and kill. Now they're going to actually do the original quest they were given. But you're not good thieves, Subutai. I do like their body paint they put on. It's one of my favorite things from this scene. I believe it from what they said, it itched incessantly because it's like this weird soapy mixture. I think it's a mixture of like powdered soap and body paint, or makeup so that it would stick, but it wouldn't like smudge or smear as much while they were moving around and sweating, doing all this stunts and stuff. Looks badass. You really don't need camo like that in this scene though. They're wearing black and white tiger stripe patterns. Like they heat their blades up, paint themselves head to toe in black and white, but they're going inside of a mountain. It has no camouflage whatsoever. There's no purpose to it. Also, another great song starts playing while you watch cannibals cook human flesh. They're making gruel with hands and feet just floating in them. Yum. Now, the question is, are those his followers that are being cooked or his foes? And again, what does the Wheel of Pain do? If that's a mill, why does he need to feed his own followers to his new followers? Also, I think the quote-unquote Latin in this song is actually just fake. It's just made up. And then there's skulls just lying around this marble palace brothel thing. The orgy room. Again, their camouflage has like no purpose in this room. It's nothing but white marble. And it's well lit. So the shadows aren't like the black tiger stripe patterns they have on them isn't really going to help because there's no shadows. It just looks cool. Then we got leopards and all kinds of things. And we have the weird mutants. Because we have some weird guys with like weird facial masks and stuff. And if I remember correctly, they were supposed to be non-human mutants that were trying to disguise themselves as humans. And they were part of Thulsa Doom's species. Or they were the sub race of his species that like were slaves in time immemorial, like when Atlantis was still around. Like there's a lot of cool things that could have been that were in this movie that were just kind of left on the cutting room floor, but they were in the novelization. Like Thulsa Doom is barely even explained in the movie. Like this is the one scene. Exactly. They did more on, they extrapolated the whole cult of Set and the snake people in the cartoon. But like Thulsa Doom turning into a snake is probably the most magic we see, like magical power we see of him, besides maybe the ability to charm people with his stare. Like, that's the other thing. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Now we get to see one of the best scenes in the movie. One of the best fight scenes, I should say. And that's probably one of the most insane things. All the fight scenes are actually really great. I'd say this fight scene in the orgy room is the second best. And the fun thing is, all the fight scenes progressively get better and better as the movie goes on, save for the final quote unquote fight, which isn't even really a fight. Conan and his party are ready to strike. Also, all of these stunt actors that are used in these fight scenes were paid extra because a lot of them would continue to quote unquote die and they wouldn't stay still. So the production company, the production crew had to pay their stunt fighters more so that when they died, they'd stay dead, and they would die quickly. They didn't want them cheesing up the fight scenes. Also, a lot of great jibs. And Tulsa Doom runs away. At least you got the princess. And here we go. Rexor and Thulgrim. And Rexor has one of the dumbest axes I've ever seen. It's a 3-bit axe. It is 3 individual axe blades mounted at the head of a pole or haft. Also, it's never really explained if Thulgrim and Rexor are actually superhuman in any way. I mean, you'd have to be superhuman to be able to fucking take one swing of that hammer or maul and then, topple a solid marble pillar. Or be able to handle a chunk of marble hitting you in the head that's, the size of a human body and get up standing. But hey, there we go. if I remember correctly, the chick who plays Valeria cut herself during this escape sequence. A lot of injuries on set, but they were okay with it. That's the insane thing. A lot, like all of the actors were fine with their injuries. Oh, hey, Rexor's alive. Alive? Another great Thulsa Doom quote coming up. Also, weird, insane power we never knew Thulsa Doom had, but somehow he has it. Coming up. It's sticks to snakes, but in reverse. It's snakes to sticks. He turns a snake into an arrow of sorts so that it straightens up long enough so that he can notch it onto a bow, even though it has no fletchings. And it works. That's the weird thing. That's the weird thing. And she's poisoned by a snake at the same time. And there we go. Conan still hasn't said anything to her. The quote unquote love of his life is dying. Conan doesn't care. Conan doesn't care about you. I'm sorry, Valeria. I know you love Conan, but he didn't listen to you. He ran off to kill Thulsa Doom, and then he got his ass killed. And then you sacrificed your own life to pay the price to bring Conan back. The man has not spoken to you. He said 5 words to you this entire movie. You are now dead. Oh, you're going to be shocked, Mako. Because the fire's burning as he's going up that hill. Which means fire does burn up on that hill. Oh my, it's caught ablaze. All that dry wood. For the funeral pyre. Little too many pyrotechnics, Conan, you put in there to send her out in a blaze of glory. Magic. Ooh. Still. Oh, he's finally taken the Wheel of Pain symbol off. Because she's the love of my life. I'll wear the Eye of Set. The necklace I made her. I'll wear that instead. Because, you know, that played an integral part to the plot. It's just a MacGuffin. That's what got the plot actually rolling. Then it kind of got convoluted. You know. It gets weirder, folks. It gets a lot weirder in Conan the Destroyer. Now comes the best scene in the movie. Or the build-up, I should say. The scene's not here yet, but the build-up for it. So Conan's supposed to be 24, 25 years old? Yeah. 20 years have passed, and his father and him used to pick wild blueberries when he was 4 or 5. Now Conan and Sabotai prepare for the greatest fight scene in this movie. Funnily enough, animal cruelty and anti-animal cruelty organizations actually protested this movie because of the fight scene that's coming up. They thought that the horses were actually getting injured in the fight. All of the bamboo spike traps and punji staffs and stuff like that you see strewn about the hill and in the mounds are all rubber. And I believe it was Paramount or Fox had to state, no, They're not injured. Those are rubber, and all the rubber ones actually have breakable parts to them that'll snap when a lot of weight is there, so that won't hurt the horses. They didn't complain about the fact that a lot of stunt doubles got injured during the fights, though. Nobody complained about that. Also, this music is called "The Battle of the Mounds," and it was used. This whole soundtrack is used as placeholder music for other movies, but this song in particular was used in the trailer for Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. God, just the music, the scene, perfect. Also, for some reason, Conan, after the death of the love of his life, starts to talk more. That's ballsy shit to say to Crumb, Conan. Everything in this movie has kind of leaned you towards like you shouldn't be going after your revenge and trying to make a life for yourself despite the horrors that you endured. So much blood. So many injuries. My God. You don't know how many guys got injured on set for this fight. I kind of don't like the rest of this song. The rest of this song because it just kind of slows down. It's just kind of eh. Also, their bamboo defenses kind of awful. They did not like. They are really bumbling when it comes to being thieves, assassins, saviors, or just fighters for that matter. Oh, hey, Mako's back with a pot on his head. This when I remember first seeing this scene with Thogrum when he falls for the trap. I remember being a kid and just holding onto my chest. He really he really does sell being impaled chest wise with a giant wooden stake. And now it's the battle between Conan and Rexor. Rexor? And Rexor is using Conan's father's sword. Oh, hey, Valeria's back. She's a Valkyrie. Because that makes sense. Even though she never mentioned once that she worshipped Crom. There we go. Just a bloody mess. Sabotai with the save. Bam! And Thulsa Doom rides away. And Conan learns of the riddle of steel. Now comes probably the most lackluster thing about this movie. Conan just sneaks back into the mountain of power. Thanks to the princess. And he just, kills Doom. Just kind of a lackluster ending. I'm not sure, Stan. It has a 70%. Pretty good death scene from James Earl Jones. And he's finally gotten what he wanted. And he throws his head down the steps. And like that, apparently they're all de-charmed. We're never fully given an explanation as to what, like that's one of the biggest gripes I have with this movie. A lot is shown but not explained. Like, do they do it because they were mystified by him, charmed by some kind of mind altering or mind controlling powers he had? Was it because they believed he was a literal god, living god, and seeing him die showed that he wasn't that, and so they give in? It's never explained. Like, yeah, he did have some abilities on some level. He was able to turn into a snake. He had some kind of charming ability because he was able to charm Conan's mother into dropping her guard and lowering her weapon. He was able to cause a woman, one of his cultist followers, to jump off of a cliff to kill herself. But I don't think they'd all just immediately lay down their weapons and just walk away. I feel like someone or a vast amount of them would be just zealous and try to kill Conan. Conan just, Conan's just going to sit there and think and contemplate. Now the princess is his, I guess. Kind of lame that Sabutai doesn't join him. Now to burn down. Now here's another question. Sure, all the children of Doom watched him die before them there, but what about all the temples of Set? They even stated at the beginning of the movie with Osric, Stygia, Aquilonia, like 4 different kingdoms, nothing but temples devoted to Set. Let alone Balmora, where, King Osric dwells. Also, Balmora is, the name of a town in Morrowind. But, what about those temples? Are they going to know? Are they going to believe that some random thief / barbarian killed Thulsa Doom? And then Conan just carries her down the mountain back home without Sabotai or Mako. And that's it. That's the end. Conan brings the wayward daughter back to Osric. Him, Mako, and Sabotai ride off into the sunset to the west to have more adventures. They fight in wars, and then later Conan becomes king by his own hand. Story's never told, though. Oh, yeah. Just absolutely horrendous. It's a goddamn shame. It's an utter shame that movie just never came to be. But yes, that was Conan the Barbarian. One of my favorite fucking fantasy movies in the 80s. It has a lot of problems. It has its problems, but there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of things that were going to be expanded upon in a sequel, because like there was going to be a sequel because of the way they ended this movie. That this story will also be told, meaning they knew, hey, we're going to make a sequel to this movie, but the studio kind of didn't like the fact that it was very gory, violent, sex-filled, a Conan the Barbarian story in visual cinema form. So they turned it to a PG movie, and that's Conan the Destroyer, which was absolutely horrible. All like Mako comes back, Conan comes back, the guy who plays Thulgrim comes back, even though he's supposed to be dead, and it's set years after this movie. It's just awful. Hey, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why the studio thought, hey, let's just kidify the movie. Pretty much, he comes back as a random warrior that fights, and he dies in the same fight scene that he appears in. It's weird, but yeah, that's the end. Next, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it next Monday, but if I can do it next Monday, Dark Crystal for the next horrible movie matinee Monday. So from that point, I bid you guys adieu. I hope you have a fabulous 4th of July tomorrow. Or just a fabulous evening if you watch this after the 4th of July. Hopefully my commentary wasn't that shit. I might even bring a guest on next time. I'm thinking about it. So you guys take care of yourselves. You guys have a good night.